All right, welcome everybody to this week's Elite Series team call. I'm super excited for this team call that we have today with our guest speaker, Larissa. But first, I'm going to go through a few announcements. As you guys know, we still have the Take Action Challenge going on. Some incredible prizes given out. And one thing I want you guys to know is a 3-month-long contest. We have still over a month for you guys to win. I'm going to give you an idea just real quick. I won $100, a $500, a $250 apparel gift card, and a trip to Unico for 2 in Riviera, Mexico. One of our coaches, Kiara, won $500 2 times already. And then at least 5 of our coaches have earned the Hard Rock Hotel. And then there's one of our coaches won a team call with Carl Deichler. So we have a ton of winners on the team. This week's past winners were Sean Bergignon won for the second time, $100. We have Arcelis won a trip for 2 to Hard Rock at Riviera Maya, as well as her upline coach, Paola Ramirez. They both won a trip to the Hard Rock all-inclusive resort. So congrats to them. Now I'm going to go through the announcements that were announced today by Carl Deichler and Team Beachbody. Just real briefly, there'll be coach FAQs coming out. There's videos, Beachbody Champions page and whatnot. But as you guys know, we're going to quickly become a publicly traded company in the New York Stock Exchange. That's cool. The new Shakeology flavor coming out, cookies and cream. It's plant-based and fully natural. There's increased probiotics in Shakeology and now certified gluten-free. The portion fix, complete and simple. There's going to be a revamp with time nutrition, carb cycling, intermittent fasting, pregnancy, and kids nutrition as well. The launch of the new program, 645 by Amwala, is going to be in July. There's going to be exclusive workouts on the Nutrition Plus subscription. There's going to be Nutrition Plus will become part of Beachbody On Demand Interactive, which is going to be called Bodify, or Bodify, that's the local gym, Body, BODI. So those two are going to merge. Let me hit accept to some people that are coming in. So that's going to be merged on the Nutrition Plus and the Body. It'll be live daily workout classes and live meal planning and cooking sessions as well. That'll come out in August, September 2021. It's going to be $19.95 a month. There'll be cardio, HIIT boot camps, Pilates, bar, core, yoga, and the MYX, the mix bikes. So that's cool. So nutrition, just so you know, Nutrition Plus and Body are going to be combined for $19.95 a month. There's going to be spin classes with the mix. Beachbody and Feed FM are partnering to bring the best popular music to every live workout class. There's a new super trainer announced, Jennifer Jacobs. She was a top past instructor for Peloton. The mixed spin bike, you can purchase it in the fall. And just so you guys know, all coaches and customers will get a code to purchase that at a discount. So that's all the announcements I'm going to go over right now. That's all. It's like 11 incredible new announcements today. But Larissa is a 6-star diamond coach. She's 1-star diamond in her second business center, and her spouse account is at 1-star diamond. She has 58 months in Success Club. 2020, she took her team to Premier. 2021, she took her team to Elite. And with that being said, Larissa, I'm going to pass the floor over to you.
Thank you. Hi, guys. What is today? Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. So much happening today. So if I look like I'm on like this energetic high and I'm moving all over the place, it's because I was so excited from all the stuff today. And then for some reason I had like focused energy bevy because I was sharing about it. And I was like, I totally should not have had that because now I feel like I'm bouncing off the walls. So if I'm all over the place, that's why. But I'm really excited to talk to you guys today. This caller, why Scotty asked me to speak with you guys today is because of you probably he had this post asking about people who, kind of took a while to find their groove with coaching. And I saw that. And I think I was like one of the first people that commented because I was like, oh, that's me. That's me. I signed up as a coach back in 2015. So you guys may have seen, he shared a little bit about my story in that post today, how I signed up just for the discount in 2015. I wanted absolutely nothing to do with Beachbody, coaching, health and fitness, or working out. I was actually always underweight and smaller when I was growing up. So like, I thought I was one of those like lucky people who didn't need to work out or watch what they were eating. Like the week of my wedding, I was literally eating cheeseburgers because I was afraid my dress wouldn't fit. And I know like people would look at me like want to punch me, but that does not mean healthy. Like that is like in no way, shape or form does that mean healthy. I was drinking like 6 Dr. Peppers a day by the time I was like 7, and I have a 7-year-old, which is like mind boggling to me. Right. And I grew up on, frozen meals, the frozen cheesy wheels, all that kind of stuff. So skinny does not mean healthy. And I did not know that back then. And my husband, he had just deployed. I had a daughter. She was 1. We'd just gotten married 2 months before. And kind of like that post said, I was working crazy, crazy hours and I was just exhausted. And I joined specifically for Shakeology. That was it. The only reason I got the challenge pack is it was when 21 Day Fix Extreme was launching. And I like a good deal. And I'm like, for $10 more, like, yeah, I'll get the stupid DVDs, sure. And then I had nothing to do because I'm a freaking toddler mom and my husband's gone. So I just, joined the challenge group. And we all know the story of how, you don't think you need it and then it changes your whole life and it's everything that you never knew you needed, right? But in terms of the business, I was what I like to call an inchworm. And I call that someone who just kind of like eases in a little bit here and there. And just to kind of take you guys through my timeline of coaching a little bit, because when Scotty had messaged me, he asked, kind of talk about that shift that happened that helped gain that momentum and then give your top tips. So that's what I'm going to do today. But to give you a little overview of my timeline, is my first year of coaching. So basically all of 2015, when my husband was gone and when he got back, I dabbled. I was a discount coach. I first wanted nothing to do with it. Then I just, was hobby a little bit, like, oh yeah, I'll take this extra $40. I actually at one point added up the amount of money I had spent on my own supplements, and we were struggling so much financially. I actually didn't even tell my husband I signed up, and I was a server at the time. And you know how with serving you get like your tips and stuff like that, and then you get like this really scrawny paycheck every couple weeks because you get paid like $2 an hour. So I waited till the last day of the month, and I waited until I got that like $200 paycheck for 2 weeks to buy my challenge pack because I was not willing to spend any of my take home money. So we were really struggling, and I didn't want to spend a lot of extra money. So as soon as I actually found out how much I was spending on my own supplements, and I had at that point signed up my husband as a coach, I literally said, I was maybe like 3 months into it. I literally said, I was like, screw this, sorry. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to lose money on this. And I'm like, so the second I make my money back, and at that point, I think it was like $700 or $800. I was like, the second I get my money back, I'm quitting and I'm done. Like, no, this is a scam. And so obviously, I earned my money back and then I was in love with it. And I'm like, all right, I'm in, like, let's do this. And then when my husband came home from his deployment that at the end of the year, we got pregnant with our second fairly quickly. And I started thinking about how when I had my first daughter, I actually had to go back to work. I worked 2 jobs my entire pregnancy with her. I was 19 and 20 when I was pregnant with my first daughter. And I worked 2 jobs in the salon. I was a hairstylist. And then I also worked as a server and a bartender. 6 to 7 days a week, doubles, crazy hours, driving across town. I never saw my husband. And even after she was born, like we worked opposite shifts because he was in the military, and I'd be home with her during the day. He'd get home and I'd go to work at 3 p.m. And then like I'd get home at 2 a.m. and then he leaves at 6 a.m. and we like literally never saw each other. And when I had my first daughter, I actually had to go back to work at 4 weeks postpartum. I worked 2 jobs my entire pregnancy, saved up as much as I could. I was trying to pay advances on my student loans. I was trying to pay advances on my car payment just so I could kind of buy myself some extra time. And it lasted me 3.5 weeks. And at 4 weeks, I had to go back to work serving. And then at 7 weeks, I was back to work full time Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And my daughter was in daycare and I was like breastfeeding, and it was just a really, really hard time. So when we got pregnant with our second, especially after my husband had just been gone for 9 months, I was like, I don't want to do that again. I'm like, I don't want to do that again. Like, it's great. Don't get me wrong. When I was serving, it's great. I could be home in the day with my kids and then go to work at night. Like, it kind of worked for our family. But I was so done not seeing my husband. I was so done with, my managers calling the shots. And I was so done with asking for permission to go to birthday parties or spend the weekends with my family, because if anybody has ever worked in the service industry, the weekends is when you make the most money. So I was working like Thursday afternoon to Sunday night all the time. So I was done. So that's when I started to see the vision. My upline had just hit 15-star. She just retired her husband. She'd actually been coaching for 6 years at that point, which is hilarious because it felt like a lifetime to me. I was like, oh my God, of course you're so successful. You've been doing this for 6 years and now I'm doing this for 6 years. And I'm like, that flew by. And I'm also nowhere near where she was at that point. So it also offered me a little perspective too, So anyway, I saw the vision though of what it could create. And that's when the seed was really planted. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start, and I'm going to put this in quotes, treating this like a business. And by that, I mean, starting hitting Success Club, right? Like I think 58 months comes out to like 2016 is when I started hitting Success Club every single month. I actually hit Diamond at the end of 2015 because I was in a Diamond vet. And by working my business, that was hosting challenge groups. It was talking to people. It was, back then we had something called the Power of Three, which is basically our Success Club tracker, but it's like you connect with 3 people, invite 3 people, all that kind of stuff, right? And I thought I was working my business. But don't get me wrong, I showed up and I like leaned in, and I never stopped. I never ghosted. I posted. I did all the things on paper that you're supposed to do to grow your business. And again, I got to Diamond. And this is 2015. I dropped it in 2016. That's when I was pregnant. I worked the business through my whole pregnancy. And I got to a point in my business where I was earning steadily $300 to $500 a week. And that was kind of my threshold to be able to quit my serving job. So I actually quit my job fairly early. I quit it. Sorry. I hope my thing doesn't beep too much. Somebody put in my Diamond chat. So I'm like, oh no, hopefully they don't start having a huge conversation. But $300 to $500 a week. Yeah, it was life changing for me to be able to be home with my kids. I wasn't able to quit my job right as soon as I had my daughter. But it was like 3 months later. I'm like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like looking back, that was over 4 years ago. Like that was amazing. And so then I hit Diamond right after I had my daughter in 2016. And then I stayed there for 3 years. 3 years I stayed at the same rank, and I saw all these people passing me by. Don't get me wrong, I had the vision. I wanted to work the business. I never gave up. I was doing all the things. I was hitting Success Club, right? But I still kind of felt stuck for a really, really long time. And I think something that we do as coaches, and especially because there's so many coaches in the network and there's so many different kinds of stories in this business, is that we relate staying stuck at a rank with it staying stuck in your business, and we don't necessarily see that there is growth in that process. You know what I mean? So like even in those 3 years, my business was still growing. My income wasn't super stable because again, I was still in the very beginning stages of building my business, also figuring out who I was. I was trying to come up with a leader, become a leader. Something I forgot to say in the beginning is I should suck at this business on paper because I'm a high school dropout. I got my GED when I was 16. I have 0 business experience. I had no interest in health or fitness or anything like that. I'm super introverted. Literally, my only 2 friends outside of coaching are the only 2 friends I had before. Like my husband was my best friend. That's also why Beachbody helped me so much, is because I didn't have a community. I didn't have people in my season of life because I started having kids and I got married really young. And my friends now are just starting to get married and have kids, you know? So on paper, I should not be good at this business or see success, right? But that doesn't mean anything. That's one thing I've learned. So I stayed at Diamond for 3 years. And then I did get myself to 1 star by getting my husband to Diamond. I kind of always felt like I was keeping a sinking ship alive, but again, there was growth through there. And I was always focused on the vision of what was possible. I was always focused on trying to be a part of as many conversations as I could. My upline quit. She quit a couple years back. So she wasn't really working the business. And she was still signed up as a coach for about 2 years, not working the business. So I wasn't really connected with her upline yet. So I felt like I didn't have an upline. I was trying to figure all the things out, right? All that kind of stuff. But the business was still growing. And then in 2017, I hit 1 star by getting my husband there, and I went to NLC. And if there's anyone who has not been to NLC, make it a goal because it is it's everything. It is everything. And hopefully it's all gonna be back in person this year. But that was huge. And I got my husband to Diamond to get there because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing yet. So I need to figure something out and go somewhere that's gonna help me become a leader because I don't know how to do it. I never played sports growing up. I was always the person in the back of the thing when they'd be asking for a captain, like, please don't pick me. I see people say all the time, I'm a natural born leader. My 4-year-old is a natural born leader. That girl can lead anyone, anywhere, anytime. Like she's going to be a CEO. That is not me. That is not who I am at all. So it's so foreign to me. So I went to NLC, and then a couple months later, we hit 3-star. And then last year we went 4-star, 5-star, 6-star calls 3 weeks in a row. We hit elite. and then 1 star and my other 2 CBCs all in that same kind of season. And I know that sounds like such a boost and all at once, but the thing is it wasn't anything that was happening then. It was everything that's been happening since 2017. Because, and this is what I want to talk about, kind of the shifts that of what happened. And it's going to be a kind of annoying answer because most of it's going to be all up in your mindset, like literally. But that was one of the biggest things for me. So when I'm talking about, so I'm sorry, I have notes because I want to make sure I'm like covering it. But what shifted from being that person that was like dabbling and stuff like that? Because I'd love to say I was working my business like a boss for 5 years and then it just all blew up, right? If you've ever heard that bamboo story, which is true, don't get me wrong, but bamboo is like growing in the ground for 5 years and you don't see it. And then within like 3 weeks or something, that timeline might be messed up, but it like shoots up 90 feet or something. Might be exaggeration on numbers, but essentially that's what it is, right? So I'd love to be like, I was such a great coach the whole time and it was just a matter of time till I blew up. But it's who you become in the process of that. I will never forget when I was pregnant. One day she'll probably hear this story and it'll be really uncomfortable and awkward, but I'm going to say it anyway. When I was pregnant in 2016, I had all the confidence that I was going to make this into something. I was like a drop diamond. I'm thinking back, I don't even remember that. I don't even remember being an Emerald coach. Like I showed up like I was like a star diamond, top leader coach. I was making all the friends with people in my season of life. And I was like, I'm just the best coach in the world. I had like no inhibitions. And then there was this girl in my pregnancy groups with me. And I was like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're a coach too. Okay, I go check her out. I'm like, who's this Holly Hilliard chick? And on her profile, it says like 3-star premier. Because again, this is back in 2016. We were pregnant at the same time. And this was with her first baby. I was like, okay, Holly Hilliard. I'm like 3-star premier, whatever. Like, no, this is my area. Like, shh. And then like next year she was in the top 10. And it's so funny because for a while, I beat myself up about that. I compared myself. And I was like, she's so much better than me, all these like kinds of things. And then as I learned through this business and as we went through the years and I started learning from Holly, I was like, no, she just worked her business like a business and I dabbled and I was just having fun with it. And don't get me wrong, I was having fun with it. I was loving it. I was earning income. I was hitting my like minimum goals and things like that, but I wasn't building, this life-changing opportunity that I said that I had in my head, So one thing that did shift a lot is I stopped taking shortcuts in my business. So like I said, power of 3, we used to do like 3 connections, 3 invites, 3 follow-ups and stuff like that. Something I used to do, first of all, I wasn't 10xing it, which is what I would tell you to do now, but I would be like, okay, well, like this person, like I'm gonna invite them, but I also talked to them a couple weeks ago, so I'm gonna write their name in the follow-up and the invite section. Like I'm just to get my power of 3 done, just to get my tracker done for the day and give myself a pat on the back that I worked my business and I'm building my business, right? On paper, I was doing all the things, but I was taking shortcuts. And so that's one thing I stopped doing. I started calling myself out on that stuff. Another thing was I found a success partner who was at my similar level and who had similar goals. I set my first goal for Elite in 2018, and I think that's something really important to say because I did not hit it in 2018. I think I don't know what I did in 2018, got closer, but that didn't happen. And then in 2019, we hit Premier, and then in 2020, we hit Elite. But you know what? It's because of the goal I set in 2018. It's because of the way I was trying to grow into that person in 2018. So that was a big shift, is finding a success partner with similar goals. And it's really funny because we're always constantly, to this day, we're constantly here, and then she's here, and then I'm here, and then she's here, and then I'm here, and then she's here, and then I'm here. Like you want to find that, okay? It's just like at the National Wake Up Call to find a purpose partner, right? Because it's so much more fun to do with other people. And my personal take is it should not be anyone in your downline, and it should not be. I recommend finding somebody on a different team because it's so great because you guys are both learning from different people, different places, right? And you're just getting that much more resources and energy, and you can team up on things like that. So that was a really big thing. And here's a big mindset shift, okay, of something that happened in early 2017. So I'm from Arizona. That's where I was born and raised. That's where I met my husband. And because he was deployed there, stationed there. And in 2017, we got 70 days notice that we were being, oh my God, he's been out of the military for like a year and a half, and I'm like forgetting the lingo. PCS to to Delaware. I didn't even know where Delaware was. He literally told me, and I'm like, where is that? Like, is that near Oklahoma? I don't know. So we're moving across the country. We have 70 days to find out that we're moving to Delaware. At this point, we have a 3-year-old and a 9-month-old baby. And also, our move date was like 4 days after the Success Club trip, which was my very first Success Club trip to Punta Cana. So it was a really hectic time. But the thing is, and this is what I love so much about this business, is every single obstacle is an opportunity. Every single one. And that's how I've always looked at my business. I'm somebody who loves to prove people wrong. I think that's why I stuck with this for so long, even when nothing was happening, because my husband didn't really believe in it. And other people didn't believe in it. And I wasn't going to prove those people right, right? It's like I'm going to prove myself right. So I like to look at every single obstacle that comes my way as an opportunity. Even when it comes to the nutrition plans, I'll never forget, somebody tagged me in something on Facebook one time. It was like bacon wrapped avocado French fries. And this is when I was like 21 Day Fix was like my jam. She's like, I bet you wish you could eat that. And I was like, psh. Went to my kitchen, I grabbed some turkey bacon, so like I baked them in the oven, and I was like, there you go. Like, that's just how I've always run my business. And it makes it so much more fun for anyone else who has a similar personality type. So anyway, since we were moving, I was like, how can I use this obstacle? So immediately when I found out we were moving to Delaware, I started joining all of the Delaware mommy groups. I started trying to find people in Delaware and make connections and things like that. And like I said, I'm an introvert. I'm very introverted. Before coaching, social media was literally to post pictures of my baby and like asking people to come get their hair done or telling people to come buy a beer at the bar I was working at. Like, that's literally what I used social media for, sorry. So when that happened, I found all these people, found all these connections and things like that. But since I was super introverted, I didn't realize this at the time. But when it came to social media and it came to talking about things, don't get me wrong, I was consistent and I shared all the things. But part of me was holding myself back, I think, because like we all think of what everyone else is going to think, right? The people you went to high school with, your family, your great Aunt Sue, like all that kind of stuff, right? And when I now looked at Delaware, like nobody there knows me. Like, they don't know I'm a high school dropout. They don't remember me from the fact that I never went to school because I was sleeping all the time. Like, they don't know anything about me. I'm like, I can like reinvent myself. I'm like, they weren't there when I was this new awkward coach. I'm like, for all they know, I'm Holly Hillier. I was like, so then I got like really pumped up and excited. And that's how I started showing up. I started showing up with that confidence, and because these people don't know me, I can reinvent myself, right? But here's the thing, is you don't have to move to have this happen for you, because all it is a mindset shift, because I started showing up differently and with this different energy and confidence. But guess what? Everybody I was afraid of, or everyone I was nervous would see my stuff, was still seeing my stuff. Nothing actually changed except for my energy, my confidence, and who I was showing up for and the people I was trying to serve. I started doing live videos. I still lived in Delaware. I signed up 4 coaches that lived in Delaware before we even moved there. One of them was one of my first diamonds, you know? So like, you don't have to move. I was like doing live videos, asking people like where I should shop, because Delaware has no healthy food places, if you don't know, all this kind of stuff. So that was a really big shift. So I want to challenge you, because I didn't even know that. Like, I didn't even know I was struggling in that way until that happened. So kind of look at that, be like, you know, how do you want to reinvent yourself? How do you want to be seen? How do you want to help people? Because there are so many people out there who don't know you yet, right? And you get to decide how they get to know you and how they see you. You get to show up in that way, right? So that was a really big shift that helped. And that's why I truly believe my business really started to take off in 2017, because like I said, I signed up 6 years ago. There's only 2 people on my team to this day. And one of them is my husband, who signed up before 2017. Nobody before 2017 is on my team. So if you think about it, my elite team is literally people who started since that shift. And it's all energy. That's all it is, and confidence. And I like literally did not have a team. Like, and I have a couple girls, one girl who is, she's 2-star diamond on my team. She signed up in 2017. Another one, she was in Delaware when I moved there, things like that. So it's just energy. That's all it is. Like I said, I'm super introverted, so I'm not the kind of coach. I kind of wish I was, but I'm not. I'm not the kind of coach who's like, let's meet up and go do things in person. That's not me. One of my coaches literally lives like 5 doors down. I see her like once a month. Like I'm just not that person because I get drained by social interactions. So it's not that you have to actually be there. Okay. All right. So that was one other thing. Another tip that I have is this is actually, I have literally a sign right here that says it is to grow through what you go through. I hope you guys are okay with me just like telling stories and scenarios, and I hope you can relate in some way. Because that's really the only way I know how to talk. But something else that happened in our family in 2017, end of 2017, is I said my husband was in the military. He actually had a lot of really bad back problems and a lot of really bad hip issues. And come to find out, he needed a hip surgery. So the end of 2017, he actually got double hip surgery, which is like a huge curveball. Again, we have 2 toddlers, technically a baby. She just turned 1 at the time. We don't live near any family. We're in this new state. And he had to get double hip surgery. It was like 8 weeks or something, no weight bearing. Like it was a curve. But again, I was like, you know what? Let's take this obstacle. It's going to be great. It's fine. Ended up working out, right? It was fine. But then he wasn't healing. He wasn't healing. He couldn't get off his crutches. It ended up being a couple months where he still couldn't walk. He literally, we bought him a recliner and put it upstairs in our 2nd-story bedroom. And that's where he lived because he couldn't go up and down the stairs. He would come down for appointments. Like when we had to drive 2.5 hours to Philly or an hour and a half to Philly for his appointments. So just as like the season of life that was happening, we found out he had to get another hip surgery 6 months later because he still couldn't walk and he couldn't drive or anything. I literally had to drive him to everything and, you know, help him do everything. And then the 2nd hip surgery he got, or the 3rd technically, was a bigger one. And that was 12 weeks, no weight bearing. It was really hard. And looking back, I didn't know this at the time, but I think I was struggling with like some postpartum anxiety, maybe some postpartum depression. But again, because I am so go, 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 it was almost to a fault that I'm like, okay, let's take this and run with it. And then like throw on another rock, right? Like, let's keep running. And then at one point I hit a wall. And the thing is this, like I said, 2017, 2018 is when I was really building my business, right? Where I was like fired up. I figured out who the heck I am. I figured out who I want to be. I figured out the business and the team I want to build. I'm having fun with this, like all that kind of stuff, all while, you know, with the kids, and then him going through all of this kind of stuff. And what I realized is that I was showing up in a way like that. I was showing up in a let's take this obstacle to become an opportunity when I was really struggling personally. And I realized that I was kind of showing a facade a little bit on social media. And I didn't realize that I was doing that until I had my very first anxiety attack in my closet one night. And I just felt so much pressure from everybody expecting me to show up in a certain way and be strong because I'd been strong at that point, you know, and I was feeling pressure from both sides. I was feeling pressure to show up this one way, and I was feeling pressure to feel my feelings and all this kinds of stuff. And I'm not saying for you to go out and shout from the rooftops, you're like everything you're going through and like all of your problems and things like that, because the truth is you can't work through that kind of stuff or challenges that you have in your life. You know, like say it's like relationship stuff or like divorce or like, you know, family or kids or like things like that. Like some stuff doesn't belong on social media, you know, and it's not your responsibility to do that. But I think that it's really important to make sure that you're talking about how you're feeling at that time and showing up authentically. And that's what I started doing is I started to stop feeling guilty for sharing the struggles I was going through. I'm not saying you have to cry on social media, but I started crying a lot on social media. And I found some of my best coaches. Isn't that funny? Most of my diamonds came to me when I was crying like daily after my workouts on social media. But I'm just saying to grow through what you go through and know that every hard season in your life is there for a purpose and for you to grow through. And if we are trying to kind of bury it down while also trying to grow our business, it's not going to align because you're showing up kind of like I talked about in the beginning before that mindset shift, is you're showing up as the person you want to show up as, not as the person you are. And I found out that I was actually attracting a lot of people onto my team and into my business who aligned with and connected with the person I was being on social media. And then when I started working with them, I realized these aren't my people, you know, like they don't understand when I'm having a bad anxiety day and I just like need a minute, you know, because they don't know that piece of me. Whereas like if somebody comes to my team and my business because they connect with who you are as an actual person, then you guys are going to relate so much more, and that's going to build that relationship and help you mentor them even more and help you help them even more. So that's just one thing, is I literally say go through what you go through like every dang day. That's why my team actually gave me this, because we say it so much. So that's another top tip that I have, is to show up through it and not feel like you have to put on like a facade or anything like that. Okay. And then one big thing, and this is something, hold on, sorry, I'm just gonna open my window a little bit. I live in Connecticut and it's like 80 degrees now. Oh yeah, I live in Connecticut now. We moved again. So another one is, and this is what I see a lot with my team, with my coaches, and this is something I never had. And I'm not a unicorn, I promise you. I'm just a normal human being, but I want to make sure that as many people know this as possible, is to not have a when I'm there mentality. That is where I see so many people getting tripped up. And I did not realize how important it is to not have that mentality until I went from being stuck for 3 years to inching to then like up here, like, you know what I mean? And I realized so many people have it. And it's a, when I'm making this amount of money, I'll do this. When I'm this rank, I'll feel more comfortable speaking for this team. When I do this, I'll be able to, you know, feel more confident in this. And that's not how it works. And I am telling you, that is the biggest thing that will keep you stuck. Who cares if you have 2 people on your team? Have a monthly team call. Who cares if there's only 3 people in your challenge group? Go live and hype them up, because no matter what, it's going to pump you up and level up your energy and confidence as a leader, so that you can start showing up like the person who thinks they're Holly Hillier when you don't even know what the heck you're doing. You know, like that's what it's about. It's not about knowing everything. It's not about having a certain experience, because I promise, and I feel like Scotty hopefully can agree with me on this, that nothing happens to you when you hit the rank or you make the money that magically transforms you into something. Like, it's not like the bippity boppity boo thing where it's just like magically like, oh, I get all this experience and I've learned it all. No, you only get there from doing it beforehand. You have to go before you know. You have to. You can fail, you can fall flat on your face, it doesn't matter. But the thing is if you have this goal of $1,000 a week, like $300 a week, $5,000 a week, like whatever your goal is, right? If it's income, if it's rank, whatever it is that would change your life, change your family, and you're like waiting for it, you're never going to get there if you're waiting for it. You have to get there by showing up as that person now. So find out what that goal is. Like I did this with my 2-star diamond coach. I was talking to her and she told me, she was like, you know, I feel like when I'm just like making $1,500 a week, I'll be able to feel more successful and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I asked her, I was like, okay, I'm like, I want you to imagine your business right now. I'm like, I want you to imagine your business. And I want you guys to do this too. Okay. Think about whatever that goal is. Cause you know, you have it. I call it a pedestal goal, something you're putting on a pedestal, whether it's diamond, 5-star diamond, premier, elite, income goal, whatever it is. Okay. What's your pedestal goal? Think about it. Now imagine that you have that business. You are an elite coach. All right. You have that business. Would you be working your business any differently as that version of you than you are now? Because when I asked my coach that, I'm like, if you had that business that's earning you $1,500 a week, would you be doing things that you're not doing right now? And she's like, oh yeah, well, for sure. I'd have a lot more to, you know, to pour into value and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, well, that's how you get there, is by doing those things now. Okay. I sometimes I think I wasted time with things that I did, like, you know, hosting team calls when none of those people are on my team anymore, or like, you know, flash sales that didn't work, or, you know, things like that, or whatever. But I don't think that I did, because it helped build me as a leader and help build up my confidence to help bring in those new people about the future. Sometimes it's not about where you're at right now. Actually, no, it's not about where you're at right now. It's always about where you're going. Okay. And always, always, always remember that. Because that doesn't stop either. Because when you hit that pedestal goal, guess what? You just have to like set a next level up goal, because it's not like money in the bank where it just sits and stays there. You know, you got to keep going to the next goal. Okay. I think, hold on, show up as that person now. Yes, said that. And then one more thing, and this is something I actually just said to one of my coaches the other day. We were talking about it because she's one of those coaches. The whole when I get their mentality. And she is amazing. She's been coaching like a year and a half. She's in 2-star quals right now, literally the fastest moving powerhouse I've ever had on my team. Cause like, we don't work like that. I have a lot of slower people. Like the other girl that I was telling you about, it took her 3 years to hit diamond, you know, but she's still here. That's what's important. Sorry. So the last one is, when it comes to how you show up again, oh my gosh, sorry. To when it like hosting team calls, hosting a training, hosting a webinar, coach sneak peek, showing up on your posts on social media, showing up in your posts on your team page, going live in your team page. Also go like, if I can challenge everybody to just step out of your comfort zone is go team up with somebody who you don't typically work with, another coach, and go live in each other's team pages and train their team on something. Who cares if there's 5 people or 500 people, but that's a challenge I'd like to give my coaches too, because I think it helps level up that confidence. But it is when you start doing those things, because she would always tell me, she's like, you know, I find videos and I find pictures of you from when you were a coach, you know, in 2015. And she knows where I was as a coach in 2015, like not doing much. Or like even in 2017, sorry, I don't know how to turn it off. Actually, you know what? I can mute it because you guys can still hear me, right? Yeah, okay, we're good. Oh, look, figured that out. Okay. So she knows in 2017, I was a struggling diamond coach. I think one time in 2017 or 2018, I literally got an $18 paycheck. Like, and I quit my job, you guys, like that was my income. So she knows where I was at that time, but she goes and finds my videos or my training videos or my live videos on Facebook or things like that. And she's like, it's just so great to see how you've grown as a coach. Like if you watch videos of me a couple years ago, first of all, there's no way in heck I would have done anything like this, or I would have, but it would have been really awkward. But I'm just like a totally, like my mannerisms are different. My confidence is different. Like my voice is different. I had a camera voice that I didn't even know that I had, you know, like the high pitch, like the phone voice. I had that. I didn't even know until I watched my videos. So I was talking to her about that because this coach in particular is somebody who's too afraid to show up unless it's perfect, too afraid to post or go live or host a team training unless it's absolutely perfect, right? Or it's curated content or things like that. And I told her, I was like, here's what you're doing. I'm like, in 3 years, you're not gonna have anything to look back on and see how far you've grown. So that's one thing that I really try to encourage people to do is to just show up how you are consistently, because where you are right now is a mark in time. And what you're doing is you're leaving little breadcrumbs for the future you to find. And that's really exciting because I hope, again, I don't know where everyone is in their business or anything like that, but like, I hope everyone's here for the long haul, because if there is one thing that I have learned is there are so many people, my upline coach who quit included, so many people I've known throughout this business, especially going through 2017. If anyone was here in 2017, like that was, isn't that funny? It was a really rough business, but that's when my business took off. That was rough for Beachbody. It was a rough year, but through all of that, I've seen so many people quit. I've seen so many people leave, where I know for a fact, if they would have stayed and stuck it out and gone through that grow through what you go through process, they would still be here and probably more successful than me. You know, like, and that's one thing I've learned. Like, it's not just showing up and it's not just sticking around. It's showing up consistently over time and sticking around. It's that combination. It's like peanut butter and jelly. I was thinking about it yesterday too. I think about it all the time. It's just like mind blowing to me. My coach, you guys, my coach who I signed up with, she was a coworker of mine. 6 years later, she's still working full time at the job she told me that she wanted to quit and leave and create for her family, you know, or actually she's single. And this is what the business has done to my brain is I constantly think into the future. And I worry for people sometimes. As I'm just like, but like when you have kids in like 3 years, and like you could be building something right now that, because I know she's gonna want to be home with those kids. And like, but I'm like, this job is so great right now. And I'm like, but in a couple of years, it's gonna be really freaking hard because I don't know what we would do without this business. My husband ended up being medically discharged from the military in September of 2019, or medically retired. So I will say that he got medically retired. So he does get veteran benefits. So he covers our insurance and then he gets a monthly payment. His monthly payment literally pays for our mortgage and our electric. And that is it. We moved to Connecticut because this is where his family lives. So now we're able to be closer to family so that they can help us. And his paycheck pays our mortgage and our electric, and everything else in our life is covered by coaching. Everything. Insert income disclaimer. And don't get me wrong, when I would think about 6 years in, I thought I would be so much further along if I stuck with it that long. But I'm so grateful for everything that this has brought into my life. And I love, especially with all these incredible things coming with Beachbody, what's possible. I love that we can get these awesome announcements and then go into like business mode and be like, all right, how can I help people? How can I leverage these tools? How can I help other people build this into a successful business, you know? So this is such an incredible time to be a coach. I was thinking today about how when Beachbody On Demand came out, because I just signed up, right, in 2015, I was pregnant when Beachbody On Demand came out. And when he was talking about the timeline today, Carl, and he talked about 2016, I was like, gosh, I'm glad I was a coach back then. And I'm like, I'm so glad I was there for that transition. And how awesome is it to be able to be a part of that transition right now and help people be a part of that transition. Okay, I'm like going on now. So I told you, lots of energy, but I think that's all I got.
That was so good. Look, E-Man over here is clapping for you. I have a piece of paper. I was jotting down all these little quotes. I tried to type some of the ones that were the best to me. So I'm not going to recap them because there was so many great things that you shared. But one of the things I just want to point out is your energy and excitement and enthusiasm. Like I could tell that's why one of the biggest things why you're successful, why you've built what you've built. So that's absolutely incredible. Does anybody have a question for Larissa before we let her go today? You said you're introverted, Larissa?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too. Most of us are. So we might be silent for just a minute. No. You know what, one thing I want to kind of reiterate, and you asked me to hopefully I could reiterate something that you shared. When you talked about how when you were moving and you just reinvented yourself, I don't talk about this often because sometimes I meet people in my home or run into people in my hometown, or I meet people and they see my coach online office says Scott Hobbs and I go by Scotty Hobbs. People are like, do you prefer Scott or Scotty? And I'm like, either one. But the thing is when I started and I don't recommend somebody starts a new Facebook page or Instagram because I'll tell you exactly what happened. But when I first started sharing P90X results before I became a coach, I had these haters, people oh, you must be blue in the face from how much you talk about your P90X and your model wife and all this stuff. And I was very sensitive at the time, easily offended would be the word. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to bother these people. I don't want to bother friends from high school or anybody like that. And it was kind of I'm just going to make I decided when I became a coach, I'm going to be Josh Spencer and the people that I looked up to, my coach, Lindsay. And I was like, I'm going to be, and I remember telling Lindsay, I created a new Facebook page. I didn't tell her I was going to do that or ask her. I just made this Scotty Hobbs and I was going to go find all new people. And that's when it happened. I had a few friends and my mom called me Scotty growing up, but I've gone by Scott basically my whole life. But it was exactly what you were talking about, Larissa. I just reinvented myself. I'm Scotty Hobbs. I'm a top coach and I hadn't accomplished anything with the business other than have my own results. But it was that conviction and that decision of this is who I'm going to become. And I remember it's some of the simplest things. I remember Lindsay saying, Coach Scotty, that sounds like a top coach name. And I was brand new, but I just decided in that moment, this is who I'm going to become. So you made me think of that when you were talking about that move that you did. And not one, in the entire year that I built my business and then we left my full-time job and my wife's 14 months in the building, not one person from my job joined my challenge group or my team. It was all people that I found from this new invented Scotty Hobbs character that I created on Facebook. It was kind of funny at church. Last week I was doing the opening prayer and the leader of the church was and the opening prayer will be by Scotty Hobbs. And I've never heard my name Scotty Hobbs at church. And I'm like, oh, I'm Scott Hobbs here. But it's funny because it made me think about just the power of your mindset and just deciding I'm going to invent, I'm going to reinvent this person. Sorry, I went on I'm much like you, Larissa. I'm a storyteller, so they're used to it. So anyhow, anybody have a question? I try to give you a little time to come up with one. And if not, we will let Larissa go. Everybody's so pumped about your call, Larissa. So thank you so much. All right, everyone, I'm going to let everybody go, get back to your business activity trackers and working on the the Take Action Challenge. I want to see more $100, $500 winners and all of that stuff. So Larissa, one person asked one quick question. Did your coach start as a discount or a regular customer?
My upline.
Your upline. Yes.
Oh, wait, me, did I? Wait.
Sorry, no, your coaches, sorry.
Oh, your coaches.
So it's kind of a mix, to be honest. Most of my successful coaches and the ones that stick around start as discount coaches, typically. This is why I'm really excited for the whole preferred customer thing when it comes, because I think it'll make a lot of things more seamless. But most of them started as discount coaches. I've only had one coach who signed up like for the business. Oh, wait, you said discount or customer? Both. But usually when they sign up as coaches, it's usually for the discount first. And then they like inchworm their way in, because they're all usually scared. Because like I said, I attract a lot of introverts. So I have to take, what I do a lot of the times is I take the role as a leader and I just kind of challenge them, and I kind of help them inchworm. Like if I have a coach or a challenger or a discount coach who posts a Shakeology thing in the challenge group, I'm like, oh my God, that post was so good. I'm like, you should go post that on your Facebook page. And they're like, what? Oh my God. And I'm like, dude, it's great. Or like, they'll send me like a video of themselves. And I'm like, you speak so like well that they never talk on stories. I'm like, I'm going to challenge you to go talk on your stories today. But I'm not like, hey, let's build a business, so that's kind of how I help inchworm people in a little bit. But I have a mix up between customers and if people sign up as a customer or a discount coach.
Awesome. And then Eman says, what do you use to invite into the coach opportunity?
Like a third-party tool kind of thing. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Or just how do you invite? Like, what does your invite look like?
It's a mix up. That's the thing. It's so hard to answer sometimes because it changes. Because also what I love so much about coaching is that we have creative freedom with stuff. I get bored really easily. I think that's why I worked so many jobs, is because even if I didn't need a new job, I'd see a now hiring sign and I just like love adventure. So I'd go do that. So I switch it up sometimes a lot. But usually how I invite to coaching is, again, even if I have a discount coach, I kind of look at them as a customer and I still kind of invite them to coaching. So one thing that I've started doing is I've actually started doing coaching sneak peeks specifically for my challenge groups. So I still do them for everybody, but I also do specific ones that speak directly to people who are already using Beachbody or already in our challenge groups. So I'll just do like a Zoom call and I'll stream it straight into our challenge group. And I have a big Facebook group. I use bod groups for my like monthly ones, but my whole team, we have a big Facebook group where everyone adds in their customers and it's just kind of like our hub. So what we've been doing is at least once a month doing like a sneak peek into there, but we change the language and the verbiage so it's directly to somebody who's already on their journey or already familiar with Beachbody. Does that make sense? So that's one way. Another way, if it's just like somebody on Instagram or somebody I'm connecting with or somebody I'm talking to, it's very personal. It's very personal, just depending on who that person is. I really prefer voice message invites, especially when it comes to coaching, and just kind of calling out something specific about that person that I see in them that would make them a great coach. One girl, I literally voice messaged her last week and I was like on a high and I was like, listen, and I'm like going, like we're going to the second half of the year. And I'm like, I've decided I only want to surround myself with people who who bring good energy. And I see that a lot in you because like we'd be talking on Instagram. And I'm like, so I think about that when I think about people or building my team. And I'm like, it's okay if you say no. I always give an out because I feel like it is less pressure. Like it's okay if you say no. But have you ever like thought about getting more info about joining me with coaching? It's usually something basic like that. It's okay if you say no. But I just wanted to make sure. Right? I just want to make sure. Have you ever thought about it? Or I just want to make sure, like, did you want me to send you some info about it? That kind of stuff. And it kind of looks the same for coaching and challenge groups. And then that was a really long answer. Sorry. See.
I love that. I love that you give them the out too. Like something I do without even really teaching very well, because I'm not a very good teacher. I just share stories. So thank you for sharing that, like giving that up. Like, hey, it's totally okay if this is not for you, but we're going to do X, Y, Z, or this is what I think you'd be great at.
I feel like it's helpful with my new coaches too, because it helps like with them sending invites, like it helps them feel less like everyone's afraid of being pushy, but it's not pushy. Because for me personally, I would never join something unless I was invited to do it. I'm that person that you can post the date, the time, and that everyone's invited to a party. But like, unless you message me and tell me you want me there, even if I want to go, I'm not going to go. I need to be invited, you know?
Yeah.
So I always tell them that. So that helps.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, we are now going to officially wrap up, and I want you guys to know that this call is recorded, so it'll be on the YouTube channel and the team page. So if you have any of your team members or somebody that you think might really resonate with Larissa's story and her tips, make sure to send it over to them, share that with them so that they can be empowered just like we were. And then once again, Larissa, we're super grateful that you took the time to share your story and many of your experiences with us and all the nuggets. So we'll see you guys on the next week's call, and have an awesome day.